Hi, I'm Eileen Cook. I'm the author of several YA novels, including my most recent, You Owe Me a Murder. This is an updated version of the Alfred Hitchcock movie and the Patricia Highsmith novel called Strangers on the Train. It tells the story of Kim, who's on a school trip to London. She meets a stranger on the flight. She and the stranger start a discussion about how they both have some pretty big problems in their life. Kim has a boyfriend she can't wait to get rid of, and Nikki has a mom who causes her no end of grief. So, as a joke, Nikki suggests that they could commit the perfect murder. All they have to do is swap murders, and then they have no motivation and no one will ever catch them. Kim thinks it's a joke until it turns out very much not to be a joke, and Nikki feels that she's owed a murder. So if you like a little bit of a thriller and somebody who gets themselves into trouble, I hope you'll consider picking up my book, You Owe Me a Murder. And if you're thinking about writing your own book, I have a couple of writing tips for you today. And in fact, they're nice and easy, but they are the two most important questions that any author can never forget. And the first question is, what if? Almost every one of my books started with that question. What if you got involved in a murder for hire plot, sort of by accident? What if you woke up from an accident and found out that people thought you had murdered your best friend? That's my book with Malice. And several other things. So I'm constantly asking myself, what if? What if this happened? What if that happened? So the question, what if, can start you off on all sorts of books. So I hope you'll consider asking yourself that one. And the second question is how you take an idea and move it into a story. And that's the question is, what's the worst thing that could happen? So stories are all about conflict. They have to have three things. You have to have a character who wants something and then something gets into the way. That's the root of every single story. So the character is often easy for us to come up with. What they want is what's driving them in the story, and that may be anything from wanting to return the magic ring to wanting to win the big sporting event to wanting to get out of a murder for hire plot. So there's something that they want to get out of or get into or something they want to achieve, and then something gets in the way. And that question, what would make it worse, is about making the story interesting. The person wanted something and they just got it on their very first try. It's not a very interesting story. What's interesting for us is how things can go very, very badly. And that's what we keep reading for. We're interested to see what will happen. How will that character get themselves out of that situation? So if you're interested in writing, I really suggest you sit down and you start playing with those two questions. What if, and what else could happen? What would make this worse? And you will find your way on the way to having a full story. And the only difference between people who finish books and people who don't is just persistence, or maybe just being a tiny bit crazy and willing to keep going. So if you're trapped at home right now and you're thinking about writing your own story, I hope that you will and that you'll keep those two questions in mind. And until then, I wish everybody the very best. Take care.